Today we're going to add to your already existing CV. Our focus will be on certifications research, including your ASP and publications, and possible honors and awards. So let's get started. In our last module, we had you add your licenses. Today we'll be adding relevant certifications. Again, it is an option for you to combine these two categories into one on your CV. It's simply your decision. So let's start with the difference between a certification and a license. Generally speaking, a professional certification is a voluntary process that is non-government regulated and represents recognition for meeting a certain qualification. For example, I just got certified as an emotional intelligence facilitator. That means I am qualified to work with students and clients on interpreting their EQ 2.0 assessments. This is a certification I sought out to enhance my abilities in my job. In contrast, a license is mandatory and government regulated and is a legal authority to practice. Another example from my own life is my formal license as a K-12 school counselor. Not just anyone can be a school counselor. There are regulations and requirements someone must complete and maintain in order to work in the industry. Yes, this can be confusing, especially because you will be nationally certified as a PA-C, but you won't be legally eligible to practice until you have a license from a specific state. So sometimes you will actually even be licensed and certified for the same profession. So what are some examples of relevant certifications you might include on your CV? Number one, of course, is your PA-C. You can also include ACLS, BLS, and PALS, which are certifications you'll receive or have received here at Rocky Mountain as a student. If you have other certifications, be certain to include them here as well. So what does it look like when you actually put your certifications on your CV? Include your PA certification at the top of your certifications. That's what makes the most sense because it's the most relevant and it's your credential. Since you are not currently certified as a PA, include something about how you expect to receive this in fall of 2020. The formal way to include your PA certification is to not just say Physician Assistant Certified, but to include the NCCPA on your CV. Here are some sample styles of what your certification section might look like. Again, feel free to combine this section with your licenses if that's your preference. Sometimes it is more simple to do so, especially if you are confused about what belongs under a license and what counts as a certification. If you have participated in formal research, you should definitely include that on your CV. You can label it research, scholarly activities, etc., depending on the best way to portray what you've done. If you have been published or are in the process, that will also go under its own section, publications. Some of you may not have any research, and most of you will likely not have any publications. There's nothing to be worried about or ashamed about. Just simply leave those sections off of your CV. When you do the order for research, start with your most recent experience and work back chronologically. Because most of you who have done research were likely working in someone else's lab, ensure you include the name of the person who owned the lab or mentored you. Consider including the project name. You may even include a brief description of the research if you choose. As for publications, if you have participated in a professional publication, in a professional journal or a book, etc., you can include that and probably should include it on your CV. Traditionally on a CV, you will list your publications the way they would appear on a professional paper, or rather, using the style guide appropriate for your industry. You may even include publications you are in the process of working on, have been submitted, and/or are pending. Take a look at what it might look like to include research on your CV with some samples. Notice the mentor's name. This one has a brief description. Same thing here, just done a little bit differently. And another example, just different stylistic changes. All of you are completing your applied scholarly project, and that is something you would most certainly want to include on your CV. Because you aren't actually conducting a full research study, your ASP probably wouldn't fit as appropriately under your research header or section, but it does fit really well under your master's degree. So you can include that under the education section. See with these examples how the applied scholarly project is kind of a subheader or subsection under education. Again, a few other samples of how stylistically this might look on your CV. If it is applicable for you to add a thesis or special project for another degree, like a master's or undergraduate, you will likely add it under your education section as well. Just ensure your formatting is consistent with how you chose to put your ASP. For example, if you use bullet points or bold or indentations for your ASP on your CV, you would certainly do that in the same way for an undergraduate or other graduate level thesis. A few of you may have been involved in publications, so certainly include those on your CV. In this sample, notice how each publication is written out following the AMA style guide. Looks official and more professional that way. It is definitely appropriate to include awards and honors on your CV. For your stage in your career, the most popular thing to include here is probably going to be a scholarship or being recognized for the Dean's List. Start by listing the most recent first and go backwards in order chronologically. Consider including the title and the date of your award or honor. There's no requirement to include descriptions. Certainly go back to your undergraduate experience, but not before. Now keep in mind, if you received a scholarship while still in high school for use in college, that still counts as a college accomplishment. And only plan to include academic and or professional awards and honors in this section. Now I sometimes get students who say, well, what if I don't have anything? There's no sweat. This isn't a required section to include on your CV. No one will probably notice that it's missing. So take a look at this sample. Notice that we have the most recent accomplishments or awards and honors at the top, and it works backwards chronologically. Also notice that it is consistent, that the formatting is the same from one organization or group or award to the next. Here's another sample. So hopefully that was another simple overview of how to add to your CV. Your next assignment is to add any certifications, research, your ASP, publications if that's applicable for your experience, honors and awards. And here you are getting that much closer to having a full and robust curriculum vitae.